Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Myers, and today I want to talk about the end of the world. When is Christ coming back? Is it very soon? And we want to look at eschatology, the study of the end times. I want to give you a little background information. I was born in Cleveland, Ohio in 1955 and was raised by wonderful, loving parents. And here's some pictures back in the 1950s, a long time ago. I was raised in a fundamentalist Baptist church, GARB Church, General Association of Regular Baptist Churches. And it's a fundamentalist. And one of the key verses there is, "Wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate, saith the Lord." We would go to church every Sunday morning, evening, and Wednesday night prayer meeting. We had to be separate from the world. This meant no dancing, no going to movies, no drinking, no smoking, no swearing, no rock music. And you had to dress very conservatively. And I'm glad and very thankful that I did not get involved in smoking, drinking, drugs because of my parents' example. They were loving, good parents. Then one day at the church you see below, I heard Jack Van Ippy come and speak to our church about the rapture, and then the end of the world was coming very, very soon. And Jack Van Ippy is a dynamic speaker. He had a TV program for a number of years with the different headlines. It's just right around the corner. Now, this is based on dispensationalism, started by John Darby, who there was people before him, but he sort of systematized it and dividing up time periods. And he was very influential. In the U.S., we have D.L. Moody, founding the Moody Bible Institute. And he was big in promoting dispensationalism. And you have C.I. Scofield, the Scofield Reference Bible. And I even had that when I was young. That was the Bible to use with the Scofield references. And that promoted dispensationalism. Then you have the influence of the key seminary, Dallas Theological Seminary, promoting dispensationalism, that Christ would soon return. That was in the late 60s, but time of the 1970s, we have The Late Great Planet Earth, written by Hal Lindsey, a Dallas grad. And then we have the movie A Thief in the Night in 1972-73. And that was, back then, that was scary. Christ could come at any time. Would you be ready? Would you be left behind? And then taken from that, the Left Behind book series by Tim LaHaye. And then for some, The Burning Hell. This was during the 70s. It seemed at that time that around 1976, that's where some people were thinking, that's when the rapture will be happening. Christ will return, will be taken out from the up to heaven, and then there will be 7 years of tribulation. Well, that went and nothing happened. Then in 1981, people are thinking that's when the rapture will happen, because there's an alignment of the planets. All the planets are lined up. And surely this must be when Jesus will come back again. The problem is the planets align every so many years, and it's not that big of a deal when the planets align. So nothing happened then. And then in 1988, I forget who wrote it, 88 Reasons for the Rapture in 1988. And one of the key things was the birth of Israel in 1948. And it'll happen in that generation of 40 years. So 48 plus 40 is 88, 1988. And surely Jesus must be coming back then. Well, it didn't happen. Then in 1994, Harold Camping wrote a book called 1994. And here I have it right here. And he believed that's when the end of the world was. And he is an enigma in that he was not a dispensationalist. He was raised Presbyterian. And then 1994 came and went. I should say before, it was supposed to be September 1994. I went to a Sandy Cove conference, and there I met him personally and was able to do an interview with him. And I wrote down information. It's on academia.edu, and I'll put links below here. But I did an interview with him then in 1994, just before the world was supposed to end. And then in 2011, he set another date that the world was supposed to end then. And I thought, not again, another date for the end of the world. And here's a sign. It was along 95 in Philadelphia. So I went and interviewed a number of these people. And you can see one of the vans there that they were using to spread the news. And I have that on YouTube. You can watch other videos of interviews. And I wanted to get Harold Camping on tape, and he allowed me to come. So I flew out to San Francisco and did an interview with him. This is right before the end of the world was supposed to be happening. And I got a tour around the radio station, and there's a number of interviews, things online there. And I'll put some links below so you can see that for yourself. And I couldn't believe it when I put the video out there. I'm getting thousands and thousands of hits about what Harold Camping had to say. Of course, I disagreed with him about it. Well, that was the end of that. In the Bible, it talks about Jesus coming back soon and very soon. We have in the book of Revelation there, we have the Apostle Paul believing that he would still be alive when Jesus would come back and return. And that's in 1 Thessalonians 4, 15 to 17. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7, the time is very short. This world is passing away. And he even urges them, it's better to stay single and not get married. Supposedly everyone in the world followed that advice. There would be no more people. Then in Romans chapter 13, the day is at hand. He was expecting the world to end soon for Christ to come and be captured away, snatched up in the rapture. The problem is that Christ did not return during Paul's lifetime, and he hasn't returned since. And so what do you do? Well, maybe his kingdom was a spiritual kingdom, not one that we can see. It's spiritual. It's in our hearts. The other view is that he will come. He will come, but a day in of the Lord is like 1,000 years. So in God's time, it's just a short period of time. So that's another way of looking at it, mostly in dispensationalism. It's just, it'll be a very short time of being thousands of years, because that's the way time is for God. Well, we think it's a long time, it's just a short time for God. So that's another way of answering it. And then the other way is it has been fulfilled, that Jesus did come back in 70 AD and fulfill his prophecy of coming back. And then the last one, it's just failed prophecy. Here we have in Revelation 22:20, he which testifies these things saith, surely I come quickly. And according to preterism, their view is that all or most of these events described in the Bible have already been fulfilled in the first century when Jesus came back in judgment on Jerusalem in 70 AD. Now, my mother-in-law, she would listen on the radio, and I forget his name, and each time she would listen to him, and he was a preterist. And I became interested in this, and I thought, wow, this is very interesting. This seems to make sense that he came back then, because all these prophecies that he would come back soon, very quickly. And this made sense that he came back in judgment in Jerusalem in 70 AD. The mark of the beast, 666, referred to Caesar Nero, which added up to 666. So I thought, wow, this is great. I'm a preterist. This makes the most sense. But after a number of years and thinking, it doesn't make that much sense. So we come to the last option, failed prophecy. In 1845, Miller thought Jesus would return in 1845. And people gathered on the mountaintop and waited for Christ to come back. But he didn't come back. And this is called the Great Disappointment. Thousands believed in Miller and his work of prophecy, and he didn't return. But Ellen White, she had the answer. Jesus did return to the Holy Tabernacle, and he didn't return to earth because they were not following the Sabbath. And thus began the Seventh-day Adventist movement. Then, according to the Jehovah's Witnesses, Christ returned in 1914. Everything was worked out, and that's when he returned, but it was not physical or visible in any way. It was invisible. Christ took his authority as the king. And we have many others, cults that start by saying this is the day when Jesus will come back. And then he doesn't, and so you have to make up a story of why he didn't. In 1956, a book was written by Leon Fessinger, Reckon, and Schrader, entitled When Prophecy Fails. And here's the book I have of it, Prophecy Fails. And what they did is they went to a group that felt the end of the world was coming soon. It tells of a Chicago group that believed a flying saucer cult whose leader predicted the end of the world. Followers sold their homes and they waited for flying saucers to come and pick them up before the world would be destroyed by fire. By a flood. When no flying saucers came, most members became more convinced than ever that their leader was right, rather than face public humiliation that they were wrong. It's a very interesting book, and that's what happens. you're wrong, but no, you don't want to admit you're wrong. You have to come up with some other ideas or set another date. Uh, and you're so given to this prophecy and this leader that you continue to believe them even when they're wrong. Well, we must face the facts that the Apostle Paul was wrong. He thought Christ would come back in his time. He thought it was very, very soon. Recommended he didn't get married. And Christ did not return before he died. So we must face the facts that the Apostle Paul was wrong.